The Powers Project.
Cetvies, it's good to have you back. How are you?
Thank you, Kurt. I'm all right.
You all right?
Yeah.
Weather holding up over in France. You doing?
Sorry.
How's the weather in France?
Yeah. The weather, it's culturally, it's something amazing because when you are above all, I think when you are from more rural origin, the weather, it's a big subject. And for a reason, because you know that bad weather might affect harvest big time. I mean, even when you go daily outside, when you always will check the weather on how to get ready for it. Amusingly enough, in fact, in France, in Burgundy and I would have to check the region, but there has been like 2 weeks ago snow, like frozen, like minus in temperature.
Oh, really?
And they lost 80% of the wine of future wine harvest in one region, and another big region 50%, I think. So so the weather now, it's I mean in rural area, it's a big it always has been almost a too big subject, but now in it's the weather, it's not the end of God any longer. Yes, it's gonna be the consequence of the constant poisoning of earth that is man-made one. So
right. But and I definitely do not want to get back on this topic, so I probably shouldn't even say anything. But don't you think that the fact that we take up so much land for farming, such as for non-necessities, like growing grapes for wines, and we have these huge vineyards that we're taking up all this land, using all this water for let's say a luxury. Same way with tobacco, same way with wheat that we grow for alcohol. I mean, all that farmland, it's not even to feed people, it's just simply to to take care of our um, desires to be to drink or to smoke, and I think that contributes to what's going on with our climate change as well. And
yes, who takes land? It's human being, basically. Me, I would say that there's people who will be for overpopulation. There is people who say, yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, I spoke with a man who was for overpopulation, and I don't think he was mean of him. He was talking about, the more you've got population, the less control, political control you might have, which is discutable, yeah. But I think we've got a overpopulation problem in any case. So the land, of course, we are taking as human being, and also regarding to our consumption, we are taking everything. I mean, yes, but there is something though, is that one on what you said, yeah, is grape is a superfood, yeah. I mean, eating grapes is like it's gorging yourself with the nectars of God almost, yeah.
Right, but we're not growing grapes for the sake of eating grapes. We're growing grapes to make it into wine, and and wine is not a superfood. Sorry, but it's
no. This is some other problem. Alcohol. I'd say I'm not for alcohol because for me, yeah, but it's something personal, yeah. If I drink, I get tired.
Right. Well, they'll take your French card from you for saying that.
Yeah. Yes, it's very, it's heavy culturally drinking in maybe in Europe. I think it's so heavy, but in some uh, center in some groups it's like the norm to drink.
Right.
Yes, or it has been a lot, maybe less now, but uh, maybe 30 years ago it would have been hard to go to a party without drinking in circles, yeah, in many circles, even in businesses circles and so forth. Yeah, is the normal. If you were there's a lot of pressure about marijuana because you can see who smokes, yeah, but you can't see anymore who drinks because everyone has a hangover at the end of the day on Monday or on Sunday
Right.
So I'm not. It's another question, is to be against alcohol or drugs in general, yeah. And me, I'm not for because I know the consequence on health is dire, yeah. But for example, for alcohol, uh, any kind of medication, the base of medication is alcohol. And also for grass or something like this, it's connecting with kind of trance, like, like modifying sensory perception and so forth. So I wouldn't be against it, you see. But the grapes is a superfood. And also to answer the water, like, for sure is a farming vegetable is less ask for less resources than it ask for farming animals.
Yeah, and as I told you, I disagree with you. It is less, but it is not far less. And the thing is that the amount of land
It's
that
far less. It's far
per,
less.
it's not.
It's far
It's
less.
not. It's been debunked. I'm telling you, it's been debunked years ago. It was debunked. And on top of that, the farmland, in order to grow it takes up far more land to grow the crops that you want to grow to feed people than it takes up for cattle. Bison used to run this country by the millions, and we never had an issue with water or anything else. And
No, but yeah, no, of course, but because it is that you concentrate you concentrate only on you know, at the end of the day, cattle, they may not see the light of the day. They may not see a meadow.
yeah, but now
So
you're
for
talking
sure,
about
they're
something
not gonna
completely
use
different.
meadows. Yeah,
Right.
is to feed the cattle itself. Is gonna be the wheat, the soya, the corn, everything, anything you want that first you need to grow in order to grow
No,
creature, living being, breathing being, sensory being, speaking being with a mouth, two eyes, two ears, just like us, in order to slaughter them.
no,
Yes,
that's not
but
true. It's what's being done, but it's not. It doesn't need to be done. And now you're seeing more and more people who are raising
no,
cattle
because
on
because and lies when we converge is that you say that you say that we are using too much land, but I completely agree with you. That we need as a species to make sure that we are not an invasive species that use so much of the land. But of course, it's a bit outdated discussion
Okay,
because we have been decimating nature.
well,
This is kind of done and dusted almost. Yeah.
let me ask you this: would you be in agreement with, because I'm going to tell you right now, there are people out there like myself that we have no problem eating meat because it's not an issue about animal rights. It's about the fact that meat is a good source of, it's not just a good source. Red meat is the best source of protein, of creatine, and many other nutrients. It's a nutrient dense food that's so far superior to anything else out there, and we have no problem eating it. So if you want to cut back on the effects that people have on the land, would you be at least in agreement that, we stop growing tobacco, we stop growing grapes for the sake of or having vineyards for the sake of wine, that cutting back on those things that are actually harmful to the body and harmful to people, that we could use that land to produce nutrient dense food instead?
Wine has been very studies by,
No,
alcohol. But a dose of alcohol might be good.
no,
Yes, Kurt.
it
You
has
know what?
pure.
There's also historically there is people, our ancestors, like drunk
Our
cerveza or beers. Why? Because the alcohol content on the water guaranteed the liquid
No,
to
it's
be
not getting drunk.
less um, um, to be aseptized. You see, if you drink dirty water, it would be detrimental to your body. It's historic, this. Huh? If you drink it with a bit of alcohol, it was less detrimental for the body because it killed
Getting
some
back to your
bacteria
point,
in
I
it.
understand what you're
No,
saying.
I mean,
Our ancestors ate meat. From the very beginning, we were meat eaters. And so, if you're going to go back in history and start and start bringing up things that our ancestors did, like
maybe it's
alcohol,
evolution that enable a human, if we have a kind of power at hand here, is to use technology, because with or against is what we are. We are a species that use technologies, and it's what differentiates us with other species. Yeah?
right, the
And
evolution.
that this evolution enable us to be to nutritionally to be able not to kill
No,
other
that's not. No,
animals.
that is not
And
what
if we
evolution.
don't take this opportunity, then I think that it's just the sign we are highly corrupt, but we are not connecting, but we are not worthy of this particular power that we have on Earth. It is, and also about the superiority of protein and so forth. There are population like in India and that have been for generation and for millennium
Yes,
vegetarian, even vegan. In Gujarat, the people are vegan.
yeah.
There is many sects within
I don't
religions,
know they're
such as
vegan.
Buddhism, such as Hinduism, such as Sikhism, who are really vegetarian. There is no superiority. There would be a nutrition problem, but nutrition is a science per se. Yeah? It's something all and entire. It's why I can't really discuss it, because I would need to be a professional
Okay,
nutritionist to advance
right, so let's
something.
discuss something
But
again.
it's one of our duties is to become better at nutrition. It's not to say, oh, this is superior, let's gorge ourselves with this and it's settled. It is absolutely not this our situation.
You're pushing a false narrative about what evolution is. Evolution is the process in which a species grows stronger. So it does what it needs to do to become stronger, to be able to survive, to be able to continue to populate and to be able to ensure that their survival
Yes, and
lasts in the
then
future. Okay, so we know that if you look at the populations that eat meat, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they have the superior part of the human race eats meat. People who eat vegetarian, vegan diets are not. They're mostly sickly. They're not healthy, and the only ones who they can
why
ever
are you? Attends, sorry. Are
wait
you
wait
using superior? You
wait.
did you just say superior race or something?
I'm saying that it's just that meat provides a nutrition to where these people end up being bigger and stronger and faster. They end up taking over, whether people like that or not. We see that in the Americas. We see that in the Nordic lands. We saw it in Europe. We see it wherever there's meat involved. Those are the people who end up prospering, whether you like that or not. Vegans as a
No,
whole,
no.
we're not, we're not,
What I'm saying, I think that you are historically wrong.
no,
But we
not
know what we
historically
know. No,
wrong.
no.
You
It is
show me.
true you are historically wrong. I think that you are eradicating. If you want to oppose some kind of a religious thing, because I don't like vegetarian population against meat eater population. One, it is not really that, because it is not national. You see, in India there is meat eater as well as for example, because India is or Asia is where all philosophy are wise enough and hasn't been colonized by Christianism,
Mhm.
that are totally for eat fish eating and so forth. Yes, even if as it happened, fish is the emblem of the Christians, but doesn't matter that. Yeah, but they slaughter the lamb on Sunday, so it must be it must be the sign that they are okay for meat eating.
I made.
No, 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 no.
You are. You're
I think
confusing.
you are you. Huh?
You're
Sorry.
getting off the point I made. Europeans are much smaller as a whole than Americans. And the only ones who compare are the ones who are major meat eaters, like Germany. You take Spain, you take Italy, you take France. The people there are much smaller
No,
than.
no, but we are talking about evolution.
But
Yeah, we
this
are
is
talking about
evolution.
evolution on top of it.
Ev-
So historically, I think you are
ev-
erasing our true origin,
because
which is not meat eater.
no, when you have Europeans who come over to America from from Spain, Italy, France, Germany, and they come over here, and those same people who are so small when they're in Europe come over here because their diet has changed, and now these people are much bigger than their
Oh no, no.
counterparts.
I don't know in which planet you live, Kurt. Yeah,
I live in.
but you are talking about you. No, no, but seriously, you are talking
Can't talk
about
above
one.
me.
I want to make sure I've been heard
Okay,
on
listen,
that. Is that
listen to me.
people where
Me,
are people? Yeah, European people. Yes,
me, you,
since it's what you are. I think you were comparing. Yeah, the people were too poor and
right,
too
and
poor to eat meat. Yes,
exactly.
because the land anyhow didn't belong to them. Yeah, it was called poaching. You
You're
were caught
wrong.
to
But
poach. It
one
was the
part
end of for
wrong.
you. Yeah,
Listen,
no, but it was historical.
no
This. Huh?
one is or arguing that. I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you.
You talk about undernutrition.
Right.
You talk about you know Kurt, you're talking about I don't know about race or something. Did you see did you have you met already with someone who suffer from malnutrition or undernutrition?
Yes, I
This
have.
is nothing to do with meat. Huh?
No, it
This
has
is nothing to
everything.
do with meat. It's people that have to eat rice day in day out, and then there's not even enough rice for them to go flesh in the bone, and then you've got people that are
And
smaller. Yes,
so explain to me this:
or
why
that needs to eat dust because of capitalism.
that's not
Yes,
the case
but
today?
it's in every nationality, by the way. That damage every
The
nationality, by
extremes.
the way.
You're arguing the extremes. That is not the case today. It has not been the case for decades. So you cannot continue to blame malnutrition that something that happened back in.
No, but if you believe
All right,
in a
wait. You need to
superiority
stop,
or something,
stop.
it's better we
No,
stop here,
listen to
because they won't.
listen to me. You're not going to get your point across if you keep interrupting me. I will let you speak. You let me speak because you
No,
don't.
no, but if we are talking about
No,
superiority, inferiority
you,
of
you,
human beings like this, it's better we stop,
okay.
because
You go.
I'm gonna
Want to deny
regret.
if you want to deny
It
science,
is
if you
not
want
a
to deny,
possible debate.
you're denying facts because American people and Nordic people are bigger, they're stronger. And if you want to deny that fact, and it is because they eat meat, and you want to deny that and say and blame it on malnutrition, which yes, decade or year centuries ago, you could blame it on that, but that's not the case today. They still remain a much smaller people, Europeans.
You are not from this planet, Kurt.
No,
I don't think you know what is
know with
happening
your
with people.
science. You don't. You know what? This is what I do. For a
You
living.
know
This is what I do
why
for a
you're
living.
saying that you are supersized.
No, what
because also you are taking things like I don't know how it is called, hormones and something like
I'm
this.
saying that people who, when you have countries such as Russia, as America, as the Nordic countries, where these are primarily meat eaters, they're all bigger and stronger than those countries that are not. And to deny that fact is to deny science. It may not agree with your belief system, but your belief system is flawed
No,
because
but
it's all again.
did you go in I mean I don't know view, but for example, you talk about a poorer country, but are still agricultural country. You big, but do an, like let's say sport or something, but doing for sport, yeah.
Mhm.
You can't even compare the strength of a peasant that is acting daily for uh, uh,
You're
it is
taking
what would be amusing. Do you know? Did you meet a real peasant for this kind of country once in your life? It's not gonna be the rural man that is gonna be bigger. The strength of the people, of the rural people, is like is iron strength. It is nothing to do
has
with
nothing to
with
do.
some with a strength but in fact artificial and not no, seriously. Have you met one of these people
Yes,
where you
I
say
have.
that
Yes,
they are less strength than you, but
I,
their nerve, their muscle, they are woodman, they are iron. It's not it's
the
not
here's the thing. How,
seriously, yeah.
how many? Your argument is just you go in
I could
circles.
save your life on that, man.
You can't. You can't. And we have farmers over here who do exactly like you say. They
No,
work.
no, no. But farmer over here, over there is like it's like industrial farming, yes. But no, you can't rob people, poor people, of everything, yes. The poor people who doesn't go with the machine, who doesn't go with their pills and blah blah blah, you wouldn't meet them
I
because this is the man when we serve them. It is not yeah, I am not talking about I'm not pointing at anyone in this kind of urban life, yeah, not pointing at anyone, yes. I'm pointing at everyone, comparing to the guys that are rural
right.
and that are
But you're
poorer because
inflating
of the
the argument.
dirt we spelt everywhere. I mean, I'm telling you, is this man you will see. I didn't know how strong
Yeah.
someone,
I
women and males alike, yeah? I didn't know how strong
you're going to have to stop.
the
I have to
strain
stop.
could be,
No.
because they are rural people, basically, yes.
Yes.
And they are not relying on machines
Okay.
to
Listen.
do the
If
to do the job.
you want to have a productive conversation, you cannot continue to speak and not allow me to speak. And I'm not disagreeing with you that the rural people that they have a strength. It's because of their work ethic. It's because of the work that they do. My contention is that you feed these same people meat, they will not just be strong, they will be bigger and stronger than they already are when you combine that with the work ethic that they have and that's why they're strong. So you take what they do for a living and the work that they put in and you
Remember, work ethic would be
and
first not to kill a beast.
stop talking over me. You take that and you add a nutritional diet that consists of meat, that same person will become bigger and stronger than they already are. You're trying to conflate an argument to say that I'm saying that rural people in Europe aren't strong. I'm not saying that at all.
But
I'm saying bigger
Kurt, we
emphasis
are in the
that
sphere
you continue to
of
talk over me.
we
Stop talking over me. That's not going to be constructive. I will not talk over you, but you need to take a breath and let me speak my
No,
side.
no, but I wanted to readjust your superior comment on it, yeah,
That's not.
because
See,
I don't want to be on a I don't want to be on a conversation when I have to know that, yes.
okay,
That's all.
I'm going to say this. Anybody, regardless of who they are, if they eat meat, they will benefit from the fact of eating meat and become bigger and stronger than who they already are. You have never seen in the history.
No, you are talking about protein. The
No,
protein
it's not just protein. It's
is
not
vital
just
for
protein.
life.
Protein
We
can
not
be
deny
found.
in that protein is life itself because it's amino acid and so forth. Without
You're talking
which
over
you
me.
do not get life.
Do not know anything about protein except for what you've read, and you've read very little. There are different types of protein and quality of protein. Plant protein does not come close to matching the protein that you find in red meat. It's not even close.
But Kurt, what I'm
Not close.
saying to you is that we are an age of science. Me, I am not a scientist, yeah, but I know that the development in science is beyond belief. Is beyond belief what scientists might do right now. Okay, so we are talking about something that is beyond anything that we've seen before. We are in a area now, the period of we are talking about, how much stronger the next soldier is gonna be strong, is gonna be more strong maybe in a few decades than metal matching might be, and so forth. So we are
Now
in a
we're making
sphere
plant-based
yeah,
hamburgers.
yeah, yeah. I think you are attacking negatively nutrition. I believe in nutrition.
But you
There's
don't.
there's no enough done for it. But we tend to eat plastic, to eat rubbish. We know all of this, yes. I'm a strong believer in nutrition. I'd like to eat better vegetarian. We've got me. I'm a vegan, yes. So I know problem with nutrition because there is no product done for me. No, if I want to cook and I have to cook everything from scratch,
Mhm.
because if I want a vegan product in the supermarket right now, it's gonna be 2-3 times a minimum more expensive. One is not gonna be there, and if it's there, if I can buy a yogurt, it's gonna be uh, too expensive. Yeah, so I've got to do everything from scratch. I agree. I really, it's a nutrition, it's a headache, yeah? For like common eater that's got everything on the shelf, and moreover for vegan. And I do believe that nutrition is a big science, and I hope we make a real progress on it. But we can even wonder, because their science that is up there, yes, it's skyrocketing, and the benefit that the general population might uh, well have from it is very minimum. It's like it's why you've got in poorer country, or in poor area, or in poorer population, you've got more and more malnutrition or obesity and so forth, because what is on the shelf is it's refined, it's sugar, it's salt, it's everything that being you can serve by the ton, and on top of it, it's with the packaging. That means that we've got plastic that can only goes into microplastic, and they came with uh, a new figure, but we are actually, every one of us, we are eating the amount of a credit card of plastic every week, through the microplastic that we are creating through the water that is in our
That's true.
yeah.
If you don't, yes, and that's absolutely true, and that's part of overpopulation and the pollution that we create. So I agree. Let's do this, because you and I are never going to agree on this
No,
topic.
yeah, okay. I
All right,
think
so
I
let's move
think we
on,
could
because when we talked, the whole purpose of this is about human rights. I asked you what the three biggest threats were. You named the first one. We got stuck on that. So instead of taking this episode and rehashing all of that again,
yeah,
let's do something more productive, and
yeah.
let's go on to something that we could be more agreeable on. So let's talk about what you see as the second biggest threat to human rights.
um yes, to say to have a word on second or bigger threat, I don't even want to categorize them, because it's one of a principle in human rights is that they are interrelated, indivisible, and also they are all priority. You know, there is no a classification with so big theme than animal rights and human rights, and so human trafficking. You know, I don't want to say, oh, this is the number one, this is the number two.
Right. All right. So let's just say the top three in no particular order. Just what would you say would be the next of the three that you would share?
Yes, of what I read about, and of what I'm aware about, and of what is very under discussed as well, is why I try to put them into the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And it's human trafficking. Yes, because human trafficking is something in the mainstream media, or not mainstream but mass media, you won't hear about. And it's and when you know how widespread it is and how threatening it is, yes,
So tell me,
it's
all right, so for those who don't know, in my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah.
my understanding that the majority of human trafficking isn't what Americans think. It's not sex trafficking. It's more about labor, and that people are being trafficked to work as indentured servants. I remember hearing a story just recently about these men who are put on ships under the guise of having a job, and then once they're on those ships they can never get off, and they don't let them off, and if they don't do the job that they're supposed to do, they simply throw them overboard.
Okay.
So when you're talking about human trafficking, is that what you're is that what the majority of it is?
Okay, alors in fact I can't help here, because so you are right, there's labor trafficking. I think that in fact this is touching men as males more. What I am read about is sexual exploitation, basically. And this sexual exploitation is, for example, when you study child exploitation, 80% of and even women, 80% of exploitation is in fact sexual exploitation.
So children and women, it's sex trafficking, and for men it's labor trafficking, you're saying?
Yes, more or less. But labor trafficking is something I am not.
That's familiar with.
Yes, it's not. I'm not read about
So
labor trafficking.
now, all right. So this is one of your top three concerns. So how prevalent is human trafficking? And like you said, the media doesn't really say a whole lot about it. You don't hear much about it. In fact, whenever we do hear about it, it's usually in some sort of conspiracy theory made up by conspiracy groups. But what happens is that these conspiracy groups end up going off on some crazy tangent, and I think what they do is they do harm because they take away from people believing that there is a problem with human trafficking because of these nutheads over here. But you're saying there really is a problem with this, and it's much greater than what we know. Is that right?
Oh yeah, yes, it's exactly that. Yes.
So who are the guilty parties in human trafficking as for the most part?
Um, well, I'd say it's a type of economy anyhow, yes, because you know now we are really a globalized world. I mean, we always has been, but now there is kind of the real thing with globalization now, it's that is kind of instantaneous, spontaneous. That is to say, it doesn't take month and month and month to know or think that you know or receive information about what is happening in China or in Australia. It's gonna be within 2 seconds. But thanks to the technology that we are linked and interlinked and and communicating and trading and all of this. Yes, in this way that globalization is a kind of a new globalization, right? And so thanks to this is under everyone. Everyone is a guilty party here. And moreover, because it happens everywhere in big democracies. For example, if you are talking about even sexual exploitation, but labor exploitation, that is happening in India. India is a big country where you know that little kids goes on top of you know, refuse you know, they are so poor that that they live in shackles.
Yeah.
And one of the typical work of Indian people is gonna be to do some kind of recycling. You do refusal tips,
Right.
where there's tons and tons of refuse, and they're gonna be suffering out of it. I don't know, there will be like this is kind like metal recycling, cloth recycling, enfin, something is abhorrent, yes. And this is gonna be in China, this labor, due to the caste system as well. Because if in India, still, if you are born as an untouchable, just to say, but this I've got to read more about it. But I read recently that untouchable, it's kind of a new caste system. And instead of being a former caste system of a laborer, so you've got laborer, you've got the priest, you've got the religious, and you've got the soldiers, yeah. And there was this laborer, and they created a new caste like 2 centuries ago, maybe by help by the colonialist,
Mhm.
and then the untouchable. It's they've got right to do absolutely nothing. Yes,
Right.
it's they even they can't touch over people from other castes. It's and so these people that are born like this, the only thing they can do, it's anyhow to do jobs such as going on a tip and sift food to do some kind of quote unquote recycling. So in aberrant condition, right? And in India the same. You've got red quarters that are almost the size of town, where women are enslaved sexually. They can't go out. And still we speak about India as the biggest democracy.
Yeah.
So you're telling me,
So,
yeah.
you and I spoke about this a few weeks ago, and you made the point that because we live in a global world now, and because of technology, that we have instant communication, and so one of the things that I asked you about is, where are the police of the world? Where are they to protect these people? And you said that while the criminals can communicate and do communicate and have with one another globally, the police do not, and this is part of the problem, is that they're hindered because they're only confined to their region or their area. Did you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you another example. So, is what is happening when you study criminality? Is what is happening all the time, all the time, all the time. Is that the police are confined to their quarters, confined to their departments, confined to their borders, and their limited responsibility. Also, for example, the bank. You just have to open the radio. For example, we know they treat financial crooks. The financial crooks, they can do anything, everything they want with a bank account. Yeah, no police will almost touch that. Yeah, it's why there is dozen and dozen and dozen of people losing things just their entire retirement pot and so forth, and nothing is done. Yeah, the only thing they can do is do a radio program about that. Yeah, saying to people, be careful because the crooks are better and better. Yeah, they are good enough to impersonate very convincingly the tax national tax insurance. They impersonate it's very, very sophisticated. So even if you have every reason to believe that is the same number, is the same website and so forth, no, it's crooks on the internet that by splundering all your savings if you have any. Yes, and nothing is done about that. So also there is this police culture, but is to say they catch the what the little fry or the minnows, yeah, is not gonna catch the big guys, yeah. So this you've got that, and you've got a discrepancy between organized crime that are internationalized and operating everywhere, and the police that can't, that are not internationalized, yeah, that is for it, yeah. So also there is something that is prevalent and is kind of amusing because I've been studying human trafficking for years. And of course, you understand the principle of corruption because it's between lines, and also it's because it's logical, is like this. But it's only in studying corruption associated with purposefully with human trafficking that I understood that the specialists in corruption say that human trafficking, the way it is if it is nationalized or internationalized and so forth, as long as it's crossing borders like this, or even crossing towns and having big quarters and so forth, this is only possibly happening if there's corruption. Without corruption, it is so visible, but it's not possible it is happening. So you can be sure that if it's visible enough for you to know, for it to be palpable, like NGOs, there's NGOs, people that risk their life, and victims, moreover, that risk their life witnessing, being witness or testifying to that. And you can be sure it's due partly because of corruption. Because if not, police and politicians would react, but they don't.
Right. So why do you think, like, you can use India as an example, and as Americans, as Europeans, we can look at India and go, yeah, well, India is a corrupt country, and that's why they get away with human trafficking. But why? How is it that the U.S., that France, that Germany, that Canada, that countries that are supposedly above board, how does the human traffic? How do we allow that human trafficking in our own countries? And when there's not supposed to be that corruption, when we're supposed to have politicians and police who are looking out for the people of for the innocent people who can't look out for themselves. How does that continue to flourish in our own countries?
But I think there's one point is also when it starts to be difficult to tell apart trafficking with employment, because if employment conditions are so under attack, but it's starting being normal that you've got employees that got that work for hours for nothing. that are not protected, that can't opt for retirement, that can't opt for medical assistance, that that are really used more than employed, then are you gonna take apart to compare between someone that is trafficked with someone that is just employed? This is participating into the saying, it's normal. You are trafficked because it's not very official, but look at the official ones. They are much better, yeah.
So are you saying? Let me ask you this. So are you saying that when, especially like in this country, we have this divide right now, where there's these corporations and these politicians who are dead set against raising the minimum wage because they don't want to have to pay anymore, and these politicians, of course, are in the pockets of these corporations, are pushing that we don't need to raise the minimum wage. And so are you saying because of this, because of that sort of behavior, that you have more people who are unable to make a living, and that it puts them in danger of becoming trafficked, whether it's considered legal or not, that it puts people in these situations because they're unable to take care of themselves, and puts them in danger of being trafficked.
For sure, for sure. And also there is a thing that I kind of realize only now, and is kind of very stupid, but there is also, for example, England, I would say, I don't know, we've got a problem with immigration, yeah.
Mhm.
Is why is the number one reason why there has been a Brexit, yeah, is because people will say, oh, we've got a problem with immigration. There's one thing I'd like to add is that I think that Europe could have maybe done something special for the UK, because it is true that the UK is English speaking. And this is like everyone wants to be in an English speaking country for obvious reason, because you are learning the language that is the most international, that you can reuse and so forth. So it's not because you want to go to this country for so many other reasons. It's because you need the language, and this, I think, put UK in a very difficult place, and that I wish Europe would have acknowledged that with before the UK went outside Europe, because it's not me, but we need strong institution to survive. I mean, until the strong if the strong institutions are honest enough to do what they are supposed to do, so that is to say protect people, yeah.
Mhm.
But we can't do that without supranational institution. It's not possible. So okay, it is true that England had this problem, but it's amusing to say that the problem was immigration, because all what they did is to diminish salaries. Yes, so diminish salaries, the diminish protection. In the UK, it's kind of amazing. Little protection is giving to the little workers. Yeah, there is workers that are paid like crazy amount of money, and it's a bit normal, because in the UK, for example, the housing is so expensive. Yes, London. I think it's just after Russia, after Moscow, yeah. But the price of homes is so incredible high, yeah. But you need a good salary, yeah. But the little worker is less and less and less and less, like contract that I assure you can't survive on. So you the only people who can survive, for example, in the care industry, it's the people you say, okay, I give you a little room, so don't worry, you don't have family any longer. But I give you the little room, and you can survive. As a refugee or as a migrant, you can do this because to readjust to a culture, to learn a language and so forth. Yeah, it takes you years and years and years of adaptation anyhow. So, okay, you can work for 10 quid and live in a room. For the regular person, it's not going to be possible. Is not going to be able to take the job at all. So basically, the UK in lowering the protection of their worker, it's the whole story. You making the competition between migrants and uh, worker that less protected for national. It's a story everywhere like this. In Africa, the same. Or it's the African people who are migrant to Middle East, and they are, and also it's like it's so in so many places like this. And so the migrants, of course, they will say they are at the origin of every problem. So the national end up attacking the migrants because they are taking the national work, or because they are ready, they no have choice. They don't have housing, they don't have food. So they will take a work. They will say, okay, it's not possible for a national to live. For example, if they are paid under 10 quid or $10, okay, it's not possible for them to work under $10. They can't pay a room, they can't pay food for their children, they can't pay food for themselves and so forth. But a migrant will be able to able. They've got absolutely no choice. They've absolutely nowhere to go, so they will take the job for 5 quids. Yeah, but that shouldn't be allowed in the first place. But you can ask someone to work for you for 5 quids. And it's what is happening in everywhere in the world. Is to make sure that there's a rivalry between workers, basically.
Right. And I completely agree with you. And it's exacerbated by the immigration problem because it benefits those corporations that will pay less. And I had a discussion with a gentleman once about on the show actually, and he was a great guy. He was from Guatemala, and we had a discussion about whether or not minimum wage should be. And I said it absolutely should be. It's there to protect the unskilled worker, and if you don't, then you have people competing, uh, like saying, oh well, I'll work for 5 quid, I'll work for 3 quid, and then you
Yeah,
have them
yeah,
fighting back and forth and fighting to basically just to get the job. And I go,
yeah, yeah.
and that
You've got no. Yeah, you can't say no. Basically, you can't
right,
say no because you
exactly.
need to eat. So yeah.
Right. And so the workers get exploited this way, and the only ones who benefits are the corporations.
Mhm.
So with the immigration, allowing
And their colonies.
immigrants to come in, it just exacerbates the problem because now you have even more people who need work and are willing to work for less because they want to feed their families.
Mhm.
So I absolutely agree with you. I think that's a problem that needs to be addressed, and unfortunately, it's not one, at least in this country, our politicians are willing to address because in our country, on the left side, they're all about helping people, and it's like I'm all about helping people as well. But there comes a point where we don't have the resources to help any more people, and to take any more people in not only is going to not help them, it's going to hurt people who already live here. And so now you're creating an even bigger problem than there was before. And so I think there's a question of just how much responsibility do countries like countries in Europe and the United States and Canada and countries that are doing well, how much responsibility do they have to help other people do they have to do it to the extent to where it hurts their own people? And I don't agree with that. I believe we should help everyone we can, but not to the point where it starts declining for the people who are trying to help. So
Um, yeah, but the center of the conversation is also is to raising to what kind of standards,
right.
because if your standards is it's about uh, exploiting unashamedly, this is never be something that is gonna be sorted, because if your model is exploitation of resources and of people, is never gonna be sorted or nationally or in uh, because it's gonna be the musical chair.
Hmm.
You know that there's only two chairs and there's five people, and it's gonna be depending who is gonna sit or not. Yeah, but yeah, so it's why it's what is at the core of the conversation is how we decide to consume and so forth. Yeah, but I think it's yeah, it's why also it's why there is no our people or something. It hasn't been historically. Is that since the priority, the standards, the moral are about grabbing first, yeah, as it's not gonna be about cohesion of a group. It's gonna be how to make sure that your group is in accordance with this aim.
Hmm. Well, unfortunately, it's a huge problem that I think that both I think the right the immigrants that we have coming here, I think people on the right are exploiting those immigrants. I think the people on the left think that they're doing the right thing and not realizing that by allowing just whoever into the country, that these people are not being helped, they're being harmed, and the people who live here are being harmed. You can help people, but only to the point where you have the resources to do so.
Yes, but then after there is question of people and there's question of peoples,
Right. But
and then we
what is our responsibility? I there's so much, there's so many tragedies across the world. How responsible are we to everyone? And are we responsible to the point where we end up harming ourselves in the process? And I don't think we are. I think we do the best that we can, and hopefully the rest of the world will pick up the slack and help out those
yeah,
people.
I think we are. I think we are.
I
Yes, it's like we are all village, and the moment you are not doing anything against tyranny and so forth, is that basically we are profiting from it. Is exactly what our system embodied, is that we had so many kind of like we have a polluting source. We are as European, yeah, we have been the people benefiting indirectly from colonization and indirectly from war. We the only mainly the interference is done to grasp goods instead of helping population to become more democratic or more respectuous of human rights and so forth. No, we are completely responsible, but that is not something we can.
See, okay, so let me just push back only because, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but let me just push back from the other side. The other side will say, yes, there was colonization of these different countries, and under that colonization, they thrived. As soon as we pulled out and they had reign of their own countries, they decimated their resources.
Mais they didn't fry, Kurt. They didn't fry. What froze
South Africa.
was the trade. For example, let's take a classic of a triangle trade. It's only that thrive what was in shipped in boats. Well, maybe you've got infrastructure, but you know everyone has been able until now to build housing and so forth. I mean, all of the industry that the technology and so forth was the golden mine and of titanium, copper, zinc, name it, of Africa, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was what is disdain as being primary resources and against secondary resources, and you know, in lands that we know we can't be too safe. For example, in Europe, you are in different kind of case because you are very new continent in the date of its colonization, basically. So yes, you've got everything in front of you almost, but Europe, it's been empty of its goodies, huh? So you know how long is Europe is, you know, supplement itself only good food. Yeah, we'll talk about nutrition because nutrition is at the base of everything. How long is the soil is gonna endure
Right. I
the
agree.
depletion is not gonna be long.
I agree with you. It's a problem, and and it's something that needs to be addressed, but it needs to be addressed in a rational manner. And I don't think that's happening. So let's do this. Let's get on. So
I
let's move
agree
on
with you.
to the next threat that you had talked about, that to human rights.
Yes.
Do you remember what you had said?
Uh, you mean we're done with human trafficking?
Oh, did you want to say no? Not if you want to say more. I thought we had
No,
pretty.
no, 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 no. I mean, to be honest, on human trafficking, I could. Usually, I could work. I could talk 1 hour and a half. But it doesn't matter if I don't do it, though.
Okay, let's do this
Uh,
because I'd like to, because before we end human trafficking, let's do this. Do you see any solutions to help over combat this human trafficking that could be implemented to at least slow, if not put a stop to human trafficking?
uh, for me, is employment and employment. Voilà.
So
Because it's one to do with uh, yes, it's how you protect your people, and also the misconception of prostitution and violation of of a body, and violation of spaces and so forth. Yes, it's like employment as a right. Yes, and it's one of the biggies of human rights. It's also a social and economical rights, and yes, and the right to work is one big thing. And without this right to work, there is nothing you can do against human trafficking, I'm
so
afraid.
are you insinuating that it's the government's responsibility to make sure people have can work?
Yeah, 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 of course, yeah.
So now you're talking about socialism. You're saying that all people will work, and or even, I mean, I hate to say it, but even closer to communism, that all people will work, you will have a job, and this is what you'll get paid. So is that
Oh,
what?
you know, I don't know about communism. The little knowledge I have about communism, it's about, for example, Stalin and Mao, who make believe their people that they have a very high production in crops and so forth, where nothing was working, where famines
Right.
killed millions and so forth. I don't agree at all that it's to do with socialism of communism. Yeah, I am not saying I'm against some of these principles, but the right to work is nothing to do with this.
Then, well, it does if you're saying that
It,
the
the
government's
government has to.
If the government's responsible to make sure people work,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, of course, yeah, 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 of course, it's the government. Yes, the government as there is one thing that is in the definition of human rights, at least historically. Yes, I'm not saying now, but historically, as it's and the human rights has been kind of invented, no, not invented, no, I mean at a supranational level, so at the UN level, just after the League of Nations. And the whole discussion about it was after World War II. And they say, look, after what happened against the Jews and against, like invasive behavior, we need to make sure that states, so government and state and national entity, doesn't infringe on human rights. But there is no state that is able to claim dominion over personal freedom and all of this. Yes, so human rights historically has been supranationally established against the state possibility of making enslaving its population or decimating or discriminating against people. But to me, the government that is here because they represent every one of us, yes, as a basic duty of, yes, of making sure that things are organized in order for people to survive, because at the end of the day, you survive and you thrive thanks to the work you might input and you might exchange and so forth. Yes, yes, of course, yeah.
well,
And also is duty, but it's also a duty, a responsibility towards your peer. Because I could say, no, I don't want to work. Yes. And also there is big question with which I agree that maybe we are in this society would say to us, you're gonna work your 8 hours, and if you don't work the 8 hours the way I want you to work, then there's nothing for you. And this is some kind of abuse. But that the government make sure that there's a valid organization for you to sustain your own life, and that you don't do things that make sure that you sustain your own life in killings others. Yes, it's a basic duty.
I think you have a basic right to be able to provide for yourself and your family. That doesn't mean that the government's responsible to give you a job. I believe that you have the right to create your own job, to create your own business, to work however you see fit.
No, it's not to give you a job. No, it's not. Yeah.
All right,
I'm
so
not saying give you a job. It's not what I'm saying. It's not what
no,
I'm saying.
just they people should have the right to be able to work, to be able to provide for themselves. I agree with that.
No, but the right, okay, the right, but also the opportunity, because it's very well done and very quickly done to make sure that you don't have this
But
opportunity any longer.
if there aren't any opportunities, the government's not responsible to create those opportunities. They can help, but they're not
No,
responsible.
but if we are talking, no, yes, no, yes, because uh, um, just talking about producing good food, producing good clothes, and enough to make sure you've got a good and healthy life and valid life also um, to network and to nurture and blah blah blah. And I mean, in a way that yes, everyone has got the right and also the duty of sustaining oneself. Yes,
Yes,
it's not only in a way of doing any job, until you are paid and you can. It's not like that either. Yeah,
we have. the thing comes down to this: we should have the right to be able to take care of ourselves. But the responsibility doesn't fall on anyone except us. It's what we do with that right. So if if we don't like a company that we work for because that company says you must do this, this, and this to work for us, and I go, that doesn't seem fair. Well, then I don't need to work for that company. I need to find another company or start my own company. It is not the responsibility of that company. It is not the responsibility of the government to provide you a job. It is your responsibility to do what you need to do to take care of your family or yourself. And that's where the responsibility lies. You're given the right, but a right does not mean that they have to provide you with the opportunity with that right.
Yeah, but when you talk about right, you can't talk about right without talking about duty bearer. Okay, if you've got a right, you need an opportunity to fulfill it. Because if there is nothing you can fulfill, there is no more a right. It's
Right.
just
But you
smoke in the air.
fulfill that. That's your job to fulfill it, not the government's, not a corporation. It is your duty to.
Yeah, okay, it's your job to work. Yeah, so it's your job to work.
So what I'm saying is, if there are no jobs, you can't say, oh, you have to create a job for me. It is not the responsibility
No,
for.
no, no. It's not what I'm saying. It's not that you've got to create a job for you, but anyhow, as an individual, you're gonna have needs, so you're gonna have to fulfill them, and to fulfill them, if you it's kind of it's very it's a bit too simple what I say, because of course there is many ways. If you are disabled, you won't be able to plant the potatoes and so forth. Yes, but n- let's talk about someone who is able to do it, right? If you want to eat potatoes or tomatoes and blah blah, you need to plant it, or you need to plant it and being able to exchange them on a fair food basis between okay, I like planting tomatoes, and I'm gonna exchange it against the phone. I need to call my friend or to call the government saying that you are infringing upon my rights, or that this corporation is in fact doing things that is gonna aim nature, aim future generation, and so forth. It's so complex. Government organization that would do we are doing a poor job anyhow doing it right now. So it's so complex, like I admit that, but that a right to work is not smoke in the air. Is that a right to work means that there's work somewhere. And yes, it's the government's responsibility to make sure that you are not exploited and that you can contribute to society. Yes, it
Yes,
is.
yes, but it is not the responsibility for the government to provide you a job. It is the responsibility to say you have this right. Now, the responsibility lies on your shoulders as to what you will do to exercise that right. They don't have to provide you a means for you to be able to exercise your right. They just need to provide you that right. And this is part of the reason why we're in the conundrum that we're in at this day and age, is because we're at a point, and I don't want to blame it on the younger generations because it expands all generations. We've come to this
Well,
point that
we
somehow,
are the same age, more or less.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. Our generation is just as guilty as the younger generations, that somehow they have they have correlated a right with a responsibility, that you provided me this right, now you have to give me the means to do it. And it's like, no, I don't. You have a right, now you use and exercise that right. It is not on me to provide you anything other than the right, and the government has provided you with the right to work and to
Yeah,
provide for yourself.
yes, but I would link it like a being with human trafficking, yeah. Because what happened with human trafficking is that is awful, is atrocious,
Hmm.
but the professional that are government paid, because basically is the social worker and the police, because the NGOs people are absolutely zero funding or kind of. When you know about NGOs, is more like uh, big salaries for director, but those promotional things and so forth, and very little people on the ground, or volunteers that are not paid. Yeah. Or now, but more and more, because we were in kind of our generation, we're in kind of opportunity for volunteerism, but now unemployment is so bad that the only people that are gonna be able to build up CVs is gonna be from the cast of a class that can afford it. Can afford also universities. That is to say, fewer and fewer people. So it's what is happening with human trafficking. They are like, yes, but what are we gonna do with people that any is gonna face? They're gonna face the street. They won't be able to find a job. These mafias are so powerful. What we gonna do with people that we can't yes, it's simply that there is no job, so we know that they're gonna the moment that we're gonna extract them, or we give like try to ensure a shelter, but it's for 0.05% of them, something in depending on what country, how many people are detected as human traffic victim. But can we extract more? No, we can't extract more, because what they're gonna be facing is homelessness and unemployment, and that's all. And it's the end of the story.
No, so here's the thing. Let's look at it this way. First off, the world is unfair. There's never going to be equality across the board, and it's going to remain unfair for as long as the Earth exists. It's a fact. There are people who are willing to do more than others. There are people who should be rewarded more than others. There are people who are going to be born in circumstances that are more tragic than others. That's a fact of life. This is also a fact of life that people have never moved
But
forward.
this is not fine. It's a fact, but it's not fine.
It's I didn't say it's fine. It's just the way it is, and it's never going to change. It's a
I think that is because things might be changing. That there's kind of open. That there's kind of things that are good happening as well. There is not only evil things, yeah.
right.
Because we will also know if I am not saying that what is happening to some people are not actually completely evil, and I'm saying we are part of it, and I'm saying it's not fine. But then it is very easy. I agree. To is what is done. You single out people, and you punish them to be witness, to be a whistleblowers, and so forth. Yes,
Okay, so here
but there is no discussion to have if you think it's gonna be like this, and nothing is gonna change. Then you are out of a debate, maybe.
I'm going to show you how it will change, and that's what I was going to do before you interrupted me again, which is rude. Okay, so
Fact.
here's the thing. Change has never happened when people sit back and wait for the government to do something for them. Change has only
Something
happened when they
different.
have taken control themselves, gathered together as a people, and fought back.
But of course, but you're talking about the civil
Stop,
society.
stop,
But I agree with
stop
you. I
interrupting.
agree with you,
Please,
Kurt.
I know you agree with me, but you keep
It's
interrupting.
very complex, very complex.
And it's never going to get we're never going to reach a point of helping because you keep interrupting me, and it's
No, but it's the
not.
civil society. But I wouldn't dream saying that there's no place for civil society. Of course not.
Civil conversation requires that you don't continue to
Mm,
interrupt people just because you have something to say, that you listen, and then maybe you might actually hear something and go, oh, because you have done that already twice in this conversation where
yeah,
you
yeah.
heard something and said, oh, I agree with you.
No, okay.
Okay,
Go on, go on.
so when we look at it from the perspective of, oh well, the government owes, the government should take responsibility to ensure that these things happen. It's not going to happen. It never has. Not throughout history has that ever happened. It wasn't until the people rise up against the government, against corporations, and fought back and said, we will no longer tolerate this. That's when real change happened. So it's incumbent upon
Maybe.
the individual. Not maybe, we see it throughout history. Hell, your country was one of the best examples of it during the French Revolution.
Yeah, but there is many things about revolution, the French Revolution, that are really short of being good. Huh?
Yeah, but you
And it's like this is also an historical fact. Yeah.
now, here's a historical fact. Your country and the people in your country are far better off than they were well before the French Revolution. The amenities that you have, the
Yeah.
that you have, the fact that you have something we don't have, which is socialized medicine, which your people are taking care of. I mean, you have shorter work weeks. You have all these things that benefit the people.
Socialism, you mean?
Yes, but I don't see. Here's the thing. I think social
I'm kidding.
social democracy works. I don't think that one ism works by itself. I think when you combine them, you can get the best of both worlds, and it does work for everybody. But that's not what the people in power want, because then they lose power. They don't want power going to the people. And the only way that people are going to get the power is when they take the responsibility themselves and fight for it. It's not going to be given to them. Those in power never give up power freely. It has to be taken. And if you're waiting for and putting the responsibility on a government entity or a corporation or some other entity that you think is out there, you're never going to get that.
Yeah, you are saying that the governments are like kings, basically.
Of course they are. They,
Mm.
they rule over the people. Absolutely. And again, France has been one of the few countries where your government is afraid of the people. And that's the way every government should be. Every government should be afraid of its people, because then it keeps the government in line. It keeps our elected officials in line and voting the way that the people want. But we don't have that here. The people are afraid of the government. And that's why we get trampled on. That's why we don't have socialized medicine. That's why we don't have other um, things that we should have as a first world nation. That, as they like to brag about, the most the greatest country in the world according to them. If we're the greatest country in the world, why do we not have socialized medicine? Why does Cuba have socialized medicine but we don't? So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
because
this is terrible. Huh?
yeah,
This is terrible. Huh?
it is.
Terrible.
I think everybody should be entitled to health care. However, in saying that, I also think that every person is responsible for their own health. You cannot expect the society to pay your health bill when you're not willing to do anything to make yourself healthy. If your doctor says you need to quit smoking, you need to quit drinking, and you need to start exercising, and you don't do that, why should society pay for your medical bills if you're not willing to take responsibility?
Maybe there's
No.
people that would choose non-exercising as just because me, I'm someone who exercise, yes, and I was like completely in admiration with to someone. I was admiring someone. She was a bookworm, like a doctor, and she was at the library day in day out, and she was a teacher and so forth. And you could see her food was books, yeah. And it means that as a specialist, she knows maybe twice or three times as much as someone who do her job but exercise at the same time. You can't be so controlling in life, because yes, you see,
It's not
it's where
so it's not controlling when a doctor tells you, look, you don't have to exercise like an
the
athlete.
doctors.
Yeah, the doctor, because if his or her specialty is in health and understands what it takes to be healthy and says, hey, Cetvies, you need to take 3 10-minute walks a day. That's all you have to do. You don't have to run miles. You just
Oh,
take
it's enormous, 3 times a day. It's
yeah,
enormous.
that's 30. It's not enormous. It's
Oh,
30
it's
minutes.
enormous. No, Kurt, it's enormous.
What's in
I'm telling you, it's like we are preaching the choir, because my body asked me to move, and I agree with it, because I could have rebelled, yeah. But I mean, it's sheer admiration to see someone that's got the iron mental enough to be able to feed herself with book and book only. Yeah,
I get that.
because she didn't need to because as exercising was so meditative and was so spiritual and was so mentally strong with only the book she was mastering.
I'm going to tell you, anybody who sits there and tells me that 30 minutes of walking, not even continuous, just throughout the day, and that it's enormous. I'm going to say, how much time do you waste sitting in front of the TV a day?
No, but yes, it's not everyone that does it.
No, it's not. But we're not.
And for some people, this imagination is, what I would say, because me, I'm freaked out. You are talking about government, yeah. Well, doctors are part of the government, basically, or they may be, yeah. How many doctors had been advocating for mercy killing? I've been advocating for conversion therapy for homosexual, yes, and they still have, yeah. But they've been lobotomizing people. Yeah? They are all doctors, these guys, yes. And there's many that work for the government. So maybe next time they will tell you you've got to do that, and certainly not your time for whatever you think is making you stronger.
All right, so you're trying to compare. Let me get this right. You're trying to compare.
I do.
Wait. 3 10-minute walks.
It's time management. It's time management, Kurt. It's and also it's freedom. Honestly, really, is freedom.
You always talk over people like this. Honestly, I would think that you're a sophisticated, sophisticated person and should know better that this is not how you have a conversation.
No, okay. Go on. It's like this. I'm interacting. Go on.
You are trying to direct.
Oh, no, the lesson of politeness.
All right. So yes, because you should be polite. That's what adults do in a conversation. Okay.
Yeah. So you are patronizing me. So I'm not an adult. So I'm not polite. It's not what I mean. I'm comparing. Yes, because I think that your tone make it very, very no problematic. But doctors, because it's time management. If someone is and it's about and I think you are a bit biased because you are a trainer, yeah. And then you have to understand that if someone doesn't work, it's her freedom, yeah. It's her basic fundamental freedom.
Create a false assumption.
It's a very important question we've got, Curtis. Why I allow myself to interrupt yourself, because if you don't understand that, we've got a big problem.
Understand if you don't understand that people are responsible for their own well-being.
Yeah, okay.
If you're not willing to take a 10-minute walk 3 times a day, once a day, twice a day, and you make excuses for it, then you'll make excuses for everything else. And then you'll blame everyone else.
No, they don't need to take excuses. If they don't want to walk, they don't walk. End up. And if they've got problem, then they've got problem. End up.
It's because you continue. I've spoken to you about this several times already about interrupting, and you continue to do it. So I don't know what you think I should do, as far as how to get you to quit interrupting me, because you don't want to hear my point, so you want to talk over it. So my point.
No, but I know what your point will be. Is but it's perfectly clear what your point is, basically.
No, because you're not, because you haven't.
So
and not only this, you have to understand this conversation.
So it's repeat to convince, but if your point is clear, that you don't need to repeat.
Okay.
And I think it's very dangerous, because I'm telling you is that I agree with you. You need work.
No, because you're missing the point. This conversation.
No, freedom. Be careful.
No, listen to me. This conversation is not between just you and I. There are listeners and viewers out there who are going to be seeing this. So what may be clear to you may not be clear to them. So you cutting me off and trying not to allow me to make my point is rude. Okay. You're trying to compare lobotomies to a 10-minute walk, which is ridiculous. You cannot.
No. Because you say it's doctor and you say it's doctor. No, but I'm telling you, because you are putting words in my mouth, Curtis. Why I interrupt you? I am not saying, I have never said lobotomy is to do with work. Never. I'm talking about doctors, and that is annoying.
Conversation. You will have your chance to speak after I speak. You did say that doctors once prescribed lobotomies. Doctors once prescribed therapy
I'm
for.
talking about
Stop
doctors.
talking
All
over
right,
me.
that's all.
Stop talking over me. And
That's
that's
all.
what I'm talking about. Doctors. I'm talking about doctors. And you're trying to compare that these doctors who prescribe lobotomies and these doctors who
No, okay, all right.
prescribe
Okay.
therapy for homosexuals, that compares to doctors who are saying you should take a 10-minute walk. It is not the same. Not even close. It's not the same.
No, but what you are saying is that okay, but what you are saying is that if you don't agree with your doc and you walk, you will lose your social
Here's what I would
protection,
tell you.
didn't you?
Here's what I would tell you is this. If there's a certain criteria that we know that has to that for you to be healthy, your blood pressure has to be at a certain level, your cholesterol has to be at a certain level, you know, your sugar intake has to be at a certain level. You say, okay, you know what? You don't take a 10-minute walk. You do what you think is best for your health. But if you come back here and your numbers show that you're still unhealthy and that you're a high risk for heart disease, then yes, then there's no reason for us to pay for it because you're not willing to do what it takes to become healthy.
But you know, in the world, there is people. It's. I mean, I admit, yeah, the comparison is not very neat, but uh, uh, why not? You give them medication and that's all. Yeah, there is the same party will agree uh, on testing animals and so forth. And after that, you test animal and you refuse someone to have a pills for their heart.
That's
So
not.
you give a pill and that's all. If they die, they die. Is
That's
there
not.
is there freedom to have risky life as well? And
That's
of course, if you climb a mountain, you're gonna you've got the other spectrum, yeah, the other end of the spectrum where you are a mad sporty guy, yeah, and you risk your life in climbing, in doing your job is. I think it is, yeah. It's like weight, yeah. You ruin your back, you ruin your lumbar if you do something a bit wrong. Your ligament is kind of crazy metal. It's very hard. Maybe you are damaging your health. Or also, you've got why not? I could do building guys, yeah, building guys. They so strong and so forth. They are not 60s. At 50s, they are not doing their job any longer because it's been so hard on their bodies and so forth, right? So it's
So here's the
yeah.
thing, and this is what I'd like to address. First off, you conflate arguments that didn't match. When you tell someone these are the things that you need to do to become healthy, and you refuse to do it, it's no different than saying if you want to make X amount of dollars, these are the jobs you have to do, and you go, I don't want to do those jobs, but I still want to get paid. No, that's not how the world works. You aren't owed anything.
No, but you see, Curtis, is what is the problem is that uh, I think that you are saying in a controlling way, yeah, you do this job, you do it, yeah. But we are in a world where the job, for example, you could ask me to be a butcher, and I don't want to kill animals to feed you, yeah. And this should be a point for me, not for you. You see, but after I'm gonna be
Right,
gone
because there's
because
a
I'm
million
gonna
other
be too
jobs you
much.
can take that wouldn't affect you in a moral way. Here's the thing. Let's say a doctor told me, he said, Kurt, you've been lifting way too heavy. And if you continue lifting this way, you're going to hurt your back and you're going to end up
Yeah,
you're
but you
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 get
want to win the
wait,
championship.
wait, and you're going to need pins in your back.
Uh,
And so you need to stop lifting like this. And I go, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to lift. I lift and then I end up screwing up my back.
yeah.
Is it on the taxpayer to pay for my back when the doctor said, don't do this because you
The
wait,
problem is
see,
yes,
don't wait.
yes, yeah, okay, sorry.
So is it on the taxpayer to have to pay for my back when I was warned not to do this, but I didn't listen and I did it anyway? So now I go, oh, well, the taxpayer should pay for my back. No, it's on me. I took the responsibility. I made the decision to do something that was against advice of the doctor, who is an expert in this field, and says, don't do it. I chose to ignore him. The responsibility now lies on my shoulders, not the taxpayers, not the ones who all of a sudden they have to pay for my back because I was too stupid to listen to the doctor.
Mm. Yes, but you see, we live in a society where a regular worker cannot pay a doctor. It's not at all on the same scale.
You don't live in that
Yeah,
society. We do.
yeah, we do. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
you don't.
we
You
live.
have socialized medicine. You could your people can go to a doctor, and not only that, they get time off, which I found amazing because I thought, wow, the French are really good people because when the doctor, I remember seeing the doctor ask this guy, would you like another week of vacation? You know, or the vacation that I'm giving you for you to heal, is that enough? And the guy said yes. And I thought, wow, if that was in this country, we would have so many people going, no, I need more vacation because they would totally take advantage of the system. And I thought,
No, but Kurt, you are in the US. You have two weeks vacation a year. It's stupid. 2 weeks vacation a year. It's like stupidly low. I mean, how can you even live as an individual
I agree.
with only 2 weeks?
I agree. But we have a choice. See, here's the thing, and this is, I guess, this is the point I want to make. And this is not to pat myself on the back because I am not exceptional. I am not special. But I worked for several companies, and the last company I worked for, I was working for some 28-year-old kid who was just a snot. Like he just thought he was so smart, and he wasn't. And I was like, what am I doing working for this snot nosed kid who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he's my boss? I go, I'm done with this. And so I went and started my own company again, and I've been working for myself ever since. I made a choice to go, I do not want to work under somebody who's not as smart as I am, and I do not want to have to put up with their nonsense. I don't want to work under those conditions. And so I will create my own conditions. And and I have thrived from that. And every one of us has that ability to do that.
Oh yeah, that's freedom. That's freedom.
That's freedom. And that's a right. But nobody owed it to me to do this, to help me out with this. It was my job to take that responsibility, to make that choice, to do what I do. If you're in a job you don't like, you're there because you want to be, because you don't have the wherewithal to get out of that job. Because if you had, you would get out of it. If you hated the job as much as you say you hate it, you would find a way out. We all do. Any situation that becomes unbearable, we end up finding a way out, or we die. One of the two. So you can either look and fight and find a way out, or
there's people who die, morally, mentally, psychologically, physically, and so forth, and because of a work that they can't get out of it.
If your job is so, like, if you're so weak-minded that your job could kill you, you think about the Jews.
No, but job is everything, Kurt.
No, it's not everything. You think about Jews who were in the prison camps, who had to endure things that we can't even fathom. I mean, can't even fathom the. Why are you rolling your eyes? As if a job,
because this is not work. This is slavery first. Yeah.
My point is that these people chose not to die. They fought and they fought, and the things that they had to bear through.
But they fought, but they die. You talk about gulags or things like this.
We're talking about the ones who lived, who didn't give up, who refused to give up, and weren't put in the gas chambers. But for the workers that went out and worked day in, day out, were fed very little to almost nothing.
So you are for tyranny, basically. I don't understand what you're saying exactly.
Why would you say that? What I'm comparing it to is that the conditions that these people went through are so much greater than anybody who's at a job that they don't like, that you can't compare the two and go, oh, this would kill them. If it kills them, what the hell are they? Seriously, if you're
maybe no, but it works. But you I'm not comparing dying in a gulag and dying like not of soft poverty. You want to call it to call it that?
Call it what?
Soft poverty? I don't know.
No, it's not so much self-poverty as that it is that you will not put the time and effort into yourself to find a way out. It's much easier for you to go home and distract yourself with playing video games or watching TV shows than to actually put time in to look for a better job.
But, it's like maybe you are idealizing the situation of many people, that they go and every people, okay, they listen to radio. Maybe they are not allowed. Maybe they are not worth listening their radio after. There is situation where there is nothing you can do because you are exploiting to the core.
Let me ask you this.
And as I said, it's very Victorian-like to think that there is not, and the problem of what I would describe as a bigotry thinking that basically you are poor because you deserve it.
No, that's not. That's what you said the last discussion. You said people are poor because of their fate. And I said, no, they're not. I don't believe in that. I don't believe because somebody is born into poverty, they have to remain in poverty. I told you each one of us has the ability to rise above our situations and pull ourselves.
The ability, but is there the possibility? Every one of us no one of us should be in poverty.
You can create your own
and though billions of us are. So where are the arithmetic? Where are your mafia?
Create your own possibilities. Even the people in the mafia, in many cases, especially in Central and South America, where you have these cartels. These were people who were in poverty. I'm not justifying the route that they took, but these people that were in the most direst poverty that you can imagine ended up becoming millionaires because they decided to exploit a drug trade and said, I don't care what the government says, I'm not going to be in poverty anymore.
So what you are saying is that yes, they are good because they are mafia basically. Yes.
No,
at least it's not that we are saying, but you're saying yes, they rise over poverty and they are mafia. They are whatever they want. They are killer. They are rapists. They are pimps. They are whatever they want. They did good. Yeah.
That's not what I said, Cetvies. I would assume you have friends, right?
No, but do you know what mafia is mafia? I mean, you can compare it with politicians a lot, yeah. But
what mafias are and cartels are, yes, I know the work that the things that they do. My point is that regardless of what your morality is, you can always make possibilities. You create them. Don't wait around.
No, I don't think you say regardless, but you said that, okay, you can't go anywhere. Yes, you see, like in Colombia, there is no work other than mafia, but be mafia, man.
That's
as simple as that.
That's not what I said. I said some people chose.
Yes, but the problem is that you are giving us example where basically people don't have opportunities. Okay. Yes, they can do it because they participate into and it's very like this. This I would completely agree with you. The problem is that in order to have the easy way out, you have to be the one who participate into discriminating
No, you don't. I'll take the Philippines, for instance. The Philippines is a third world country. They have such a victimization mindset that the majority of those people believe that they are stuck where they're at and that they cannot prosper. And yet I have seen Filipino after Filipino after Filipino who got out of that mindset, created their own business and became successful, not just outside of the Philippines, but inside the Philippines. And instead of people looking at them and going, wow, look what they did. Instead, all they do is make excuses and go, well, that person got lucky. That would never happen to me. So they put themselves down and believe, and they buy into this whole belief system that they're not able to rise up out of their situation because they're victims. As long as
Philippines, I know not much. Sorry?
As long as you continue to believe you're a victim, you're going to be a victim. It's that simple.
Yeah, but because you are you are part of people who are discriminating this. I mean, Philippines. They are at the heart of sexual exploitation. The Philippines. Yes, they are. They are. Did you see the level of poverty? After you've got Marcos, that has been their president for decades, and this family is the epitome of corruption, of state corruption. Yes. Then you've got China that is really threatening their sovereignty. And you've got the Islamist invasion on top of it. But good luck to you to make money out of it.
Yes.
But it's possible
And yet,
because you can make money out of racism. You can make money out of cooperation and so forth. Of course, you can.
All you can make money out of. So these Filipinos who started their own businesses, one, for instance, who's a close friend of mine who started a bakery,
and maybe they are business-like.
Wait, God, do you have? Seriously, I want to ask you this question: do you have friends? I assume that you do. Do you have friends? Family? Do you have people that you
go on? No, but just what I wanted to say is that the particular talent you are talking about business. Maybe these people have the talent of being businessmen, which is because I'm not against business either, yeah. Mm-hmm. But we are on this because it's true that the example you tend to give is about business, and this business is a talent, a special talent, a special way of being, of networking and so forth. They are not the guys we're gonna write books, we're gonna be scientists, it's some other type, you know, some other type of or qualities of anything. And you can't give one example of guy saying, hey, you know, there's one here, look at him, you 10, 20, 100 of you are still in poverty. You should do like him. You should do like him. You are doing? Yeah, you should be him.
Should we tell them to be victims and go, you're right. You know what? You people have no special talent.
You don't tell anyone to be victims. If they are victims of a system, exactly they are, and this is period. Yes, this is facts. No. As you say life is unfair and blah blah blah, and now all of a sudden it's no more unfair.
So if you're right. So here's the thing: I truly believe that all of us have special talents. It's finding that talent, finding that passion, finding that love, finding what it is that we want to do. Sometimes we have to do something we don't like doing. I once, when I was younger, had to clean out porta potties. And you know what? I did it gladly. You know why? Not because it's a job I wanted to do, but because I knew that, no, I wasn't that young. I was younger, I said. I did it because I knew it was going to get me to where I wanted to go. So I did that job.
It's cool, clean. It's cool. I mean, I'm not against. Is it? You say cleaning, yeah?
It was, you know, those portable bathrooms that they have at events that you go into that smell really bad all the time.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. I had to clean those out. That's what I did for a living for a year, and I did it gladly because I knew I was going to do something other than this. And so I looked at it as an opportunity, not as, oh, I'm being exploited or anything like that. I never allowed myself to become a victim. I said no.
Yeah, but you earn money. You didn't do it for 2 carrots and one piece of bread.
To make a better life for myself.
That's okay. All right. Yeah. Well, it's work. Yes, I'm not denigrating any work. Yeah, but we need people to clean it. It shouldn't be so much of a denigration, you know.
I cannot.
Or epitome of sacrifice or something. There's people who clean their own life, and yeah.
Have you ever had friends or family tell you that you talk over them and that you're being rude? I mean, seriously, I cannot believe you've gone this far in life and someone has not confronted you about this before. I know that.
I don't have friends.
Okay. All right, look, you know, I think we've discussed this enough. Let's go on to the last thing that you were talking about, as far as what you felt was the biggest threat or one of the biggest threats to human rights internationally, globally.
That would be China.
Okay, and why China?
Because China, because it's due to be, or even if maybe it won't be the one superpower, it's gonna be amongst the superpowers, and the degree with which the Chinese government rely on pure censorship. The Chinese people are censored. They are also, well, of course, deprived of reading Western source of journalism or of any kind of literature or research, and about also they are censored about what happened in China under Mao, what is happening under Xi, and so forth. The amount of censorship is like, well, it's why China doesn't qualify as a democracy, but it qualifies as autocracy, and the censorship not only harm and manipulate and control the Chinese people, but also, and it would be enough to be that, but through soft power and in fact military power and economical power, this type of censorship is very really threatening to overcome other countries and or group of countries such as Europe, for example, and how we rely on their technological prowess with internet technology, for example, when China is recognized as being government control spying, spy and industrial spying and industrial fifth as well. In fact, yes, China is big because it's big what they do for censorship. They're maybe not the worst. I think the worst might well be Iran or something like this. Yes, but it's bon. Of course, I am not talking about the kind of censorship or the kind of dictatorship or theocracy that the Muslim world is also representing. Yeah, because of course it's many countries, but China as one unit, one political unit is. Yes, it's tremendously frightening for what for the censorship and as a bus term, censorship, because they're political prisoners until 2014. This is kind of completely amazing information that I obtained studying China for days and days and months from then. I obtained only just randomly that China until 2014 were doing organ harvesting on their political prisoner totally officially. This was China were so they're political prisoners. It's in China people disappear. Yes, and it's after only 6 months that they are allowed to call their family, saying, "Oh yeah, don't worry, I'm in prison." Basically, yeah, it's how it's dealt in with China. Yeah. So political prisoners is everyone, academics. Well, now we've seen in Hong Kong with corporate chief and a book owner. This one they don't did their money on Hong Kong sending book. Yeah, they send book. Yes, they fought for freedom. They got arrested. They are in prison, and if they are not, they will have to stop selling their books yes, and so they do organ harvesting on political prisoners. And political prisoners is everyone that is not aligned with the Communist Party, and it's the Fagong as well, because what happened with the Fagong is it's a kind of a sect liked that do a lot of exercises and so forth, alcohol free and so forth. So basically, when you there's been a recording recording release in with people saying, okay, I need an organ, please could it be Falun Gong from a Falun Gong prisoner, because I need it to be healthy, you know. And the government, the Chinese state, did it completely officially until 2014. And 2014 they say, okay, we don't do it no more, we're gonna doing on volunteer, or volunteer, someone who say, yes, okay, I volunteer, I give you my organ, okay. And now that but basically this now is used as to camouflage, because they know that so medical expert and medical investigation say that the number of organ transplants done in China is like incredibly high, and it can't be on volunteer alone. Yeah.
Well, I surprise you. I absolutely agree with you. I think not just on and in the atrocities that are committed in China, but the ability that they have to commit it across the globe. I mean, we see not just do they censor their own people, but they censor what comes out of China. We saw that with the pandemic and the information and how it was censored. We see that with their the money that they have, the influence that they wield throughout the globe, through from the WHO organization to the United States itself. It has this incredible amount of strength when it comes to being able to dictate their narrative. And so I completely agree with you. And I don't know that there's a solution for that. Honestly, I don't know if there's something that's going to curtail that or not, because when you have one individual that can make the decisions, they have the power to do things that in our country we can't. When the president or says, "Oh, we're going to go solar power," it's done. There's no voting on it. It's just done. In this country, we can't agree on anything, so nothing gets done. So we're falling behind day by day because of that. And I'm not suggesting that we become a communist country. I'm just saying that we need to find a way to be able to combat that. So I
Yeah,
completely.
is the strength attributed to two parties or one party countries, is that at least it is for China, is they say that China has the possibility of saying, okay, just like you say, all right, now it's finished, nuclear, blah blah blah, up, everything solar, and everything is gonna be done to combat in a very widespread and way, and in that they may be very very efficient. But this yes, me, I would be all for it. Yeah, if someone was taking the responsibility to protect future generation and us, and say, okay, we have to end up putting us at risk this way. Yeah. It's one of it is true that is the strength of being able to say, oh, let's drop all of it, and there is no lobby, direct lobby that would say, oh, no, we want to sell our petroleum, we want to, yeah. but in fact, these lobbies are not here, on TV and so forth, because they are censored, but they are there. They are in the Communist Party. They are, it's Asian type, so it's very much also a family type of power. It's family-owned corporation and so forth, and they are there, the lobbying, but it's not the same style as the Western style. That's all.
I want to thank you for being on the show. Believe it or not, I do truly enjoy speaking with you and talking to you about these the plight of the human rights uh,
Yeah, I
atrocities.
love battling as well.
So
Yeah.
thank you very much for being on the show. I appreciate it. So, folks, that's going to be our show for today. So until next time, take care, be safe, and wear your mask.
The Powers Project.